Nigeria's aviation industry is facing difficult times as several domestic airlines are grounded. Air ticket prices have increased dramatically, and passengers are forced to pay ridiculous prices as racketeers take over sales. Airlines appear to be taking advantage of a bad situation to the detriment of the public. Recent reports suggest that domestic airfares have exceeded international flights within the West Africa sub-region. Many airlines also have aircraft stock and maintenance facilities abroad, while they struggle to obtain foreign exchange to pay repair bills. In addition, the cost of aviation fuel is prohibitive. In April, aviation fuel jumped to 1,300 naira per litre. Well, for more on this, I'm joined in the studio by Professor Obiora Okonkwo, who is the chairman of United Nigeria Airlines. Thank you, Prof, for joining us.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Let's start with the tickets. You know, tickets are almost out of reach for the average Nigeria today. It's risen astronomically. And then add to that, there is incidents of racketeering that is almost taking over the industry. Can you tell us what are the contributing factors to this problem?
Thank you. You know, we in the aviation industry believe strongly that flying is an economic life and engine of a country. It is an enabler for economic and social development. It's not a luxury. It is something that we believe should be affordable to everyone. For that reason, we should not be part of anything directly or indirectly that could lead to undue high costs of ticket fares. So what I have seen in recent time happening is just my prediction coming to reality. In this studio, sometime when there were these high-rocketed prices of aviation fuel and then the foreign exchange, there were a whole lot of concern if that would be a safety issue. I assured this presenter and the whole nation that it should not be in any way a concern for safety, but rather with time, there will be more aircraft on ground than those flying, because accessing funds to maintain them will be difficult, and obviously it becomes an issue of demand and supply. When you have fewer aircraft to service larger number of people who are flying, it will bring a pressure to the cost. However, I can also assure you that we have been as reasonable as possible in the costing, because in aviation, it's not about what you sell a single ticket that matters or bring to you your profit or your gain. It's about the yield. The yield is about the cost of each available ticket in the aircraft. So, in as much as there could have been some people who are buying tickets at a very high cost, if you check the time these people are purchasing this ticket, it may have been on the travel day. You walked to the airport and you ask them to give you any available ticket and you are ready to pay for it.
But
so in that case, you become a victim of speculators. But if you plan your air travel long enough, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as it is standard in all over the world, even if you are going for summer, I had bought your summer ticket 3 months ago, it will probably be 3 times less than what you should pay for it by this time.
But not exactly, Prof. Yes. In Nigeria, even if you buy your ticket a month ahead, the difference is not much. This started from, you know, maybe mid last year to towards the end of the year. Whether you buy 3 weeks ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time, the difference is not a lot.
Well, I don't know where you get their facts, but from what I see from my own company and all other service providers in aviation industry, it's very clear. You have a starting point for ticket. In fact, a ticket you could buy 220,000 on the day of travel could have started selling at 80,000 naira before that last day. Try that, and we can, if you just make a little test of it. If you go now and book for ticket 2 months ahead, you will see how much lower it will be.
Well, let's move on to the issue of racketeering. You've explained the cost and all of that, but racketeering, how do we stop that? Because it also contributes to what we're experiencing as passengers.
It's quite unfortunate because, one, I will encourage as many people as possible to buy through legitimate agencies, buy their tickets on time, go to the airlines. A good number of airlines have friendly app for booking tickets. You can book and buy directly for them. So I really think that the rest should be, you know, if it's coming from the touts in the airport, then it should be a question of security around the airport. But I can tell you, I hear about this high cost of tickets. Then I look at my own inventory and how much we are selling. In fact, last night I had a 1-hour meeting with my team. I'm saying, well, is this money not coming to us? So a good number of that money is actually going to not to the operators, but to some agents, especially for those who buy out. But if you buy on the travel, they come on. It is the rule of the game. If they have 10 tickets to sell and there are 100 people who are vying for it, they should go to their inventory and put the highest cost. So
if we have shortage of aircrafts, which is a major problem, how long do you foresee this happening? Because we need this to ease off.
Well, as long as the government do not understand the importance of aviation and make the appropriate investment in the aviation.
Such as?
Creating an enable environment for aviation industry to survive, which means access to single-digit capital, reduction of all the charges that are so extra numerous.
The taxes, yes.
In Nigeria, because we've just came back from South Africa on IATA conference. It is still on record that Nigeria has the highest cost of aviation services here in Nigeria. Every airline pay higher than even what you pay in the Western world. And we, the local operators, we are victims on a daily basis. Every ticket, don't forget, every ticket you sell, we have about 20 to 22 deductions. And
That's
some
a
of
lot.
them are reputations. We've been crying, and it seems that nobody's even asking us, what's paying you? Nobody's asking us how market, especially in the last 1 year. So I really think that we are worried about this. If nothing is done quickly, the factors that are still militating against this smooth operation is not holding well for better tomorrow.
So how do you think this affects the safety and integrity of air travel?
Well, I've said that before and I say it again. It has nothing to do with
Right.
safety, because we have one of the strongest regulatory agencies in the world. That is NCAA, under the leadership today of Captain Najuma. We are more regulated than most Western world.
Well,
As a matter of
does
fact,
regulation translate to safety though?
oh yes, that's what it's all about. Regulation is about safety. I give you, for instance, that in the whole of Africa as a continent, you have 31 IOSA registered airlines in the whole of Africa. And in Nigeria, you have 6 of them, including United Nigeria Airlines and a few others. And IOSA certification is just about safety. So there is no compromise on safety, and the whole world knows. And if you look at what's going around the world, and Nigeria has been relatively fair enough, it will not affect safety. NCAA do not compromise on safety. That's why you've mentioned from your introduction that a whole lot of aircraft that are grounded. Those aircraft that are grounded, aircraft that have one maintenance or regulatory issues or the other to sort out, but they're still battling with it. So it will not fly.
If you speak to Nigerian passengers, they'll tell you that they are frustrated with airlines, mainly because of several cancellations, poor timekeeping. They are hardly ever on time. What's the problem? Why can Nigerian airlines not keep to time?
Well, you see, over and over again, I had stated these reasons. I feel I'm also a passenger. Even if I am on my own aircraft, my workers know that each time I'm flying, I'm not chairman of United Nigeria. I am a passenger. And I can tell you, I get as mad as any other passenger, even when my own airline is late. So I can understand that. I appreciate the pains and agonies that passengers are going through, and we apologize. But you see, let me tell you one thing for a fact. All over the world, delays, cancellations are inevitable.
Prof, not the type we see in Nigeria.
It's possible.
The type we see in Nigeria is ridiculous.
Okay. The type we see in Nigeria is ridiculous. There's no doubt about it. But I can tell you, if there is any delay, the biggest loser is the operator. Operator would not willingly want to delay any flight because he's not making money if the aircraft is on ground. It must have been for reasons beyond his or her own control. There are 90-something that could be reason for delay. I don't want to understand that because you don't have. It could be weather. It could be weather.
Well, that's standard.
VIP movement.
Oh, okay.
All right. Facilities at the airport. Do you know sometimes you might just want to load, you might board passengers in one airport. One check-in place is working, the rest are down. Facilities at the airport could be the issue. Serviceability of aircraft could only be something that can be traced to the operator. And as a matter of fact, just like you are worried about safety, if there is any serviceability concern and the airline stops flying, it should be credit to the airline and happiness to the passenger, because it is no more a time you fly no matter the condition of the aircraft. And if there are signals in your cockpit, it could be no major issue, but you must stay to clear it. That is the rule and that's the regulation. So sometimes if it is on technical issue, it's a no-go, and nobody, you should be happy that you're not flying. And the aircraft is manufactured that it could develop for or give some signals at any time. But the good thing is that when this is done and it's cleared, then the only way the operator will benefit is to fly. Aircraft, for your information, is meant to fly 18 hours in a day. In Nigeria, we don't fly more than 8 hours. So that 8 hours you have from sunset to sunrise, 80% of the time, you don't want to waste any minute out of it. So for it to happen, it must be for a reason beyond their control.
So you mentioned operational facilities as part of the problem. If you have all these high taxes and charges that you mentioned, so why should there be an excuse for facilities?
Well, I wouldn't know the reason. We've been calling out the agencies that are involved. It's just simply because some of this money, unfortunately, form part of revenue for the government. When, by rule of ICAO, every single money made from our aviation agency should be reinvested in that agency, whether it's airport, whether it's weather, and so on and so forth. And then you only have to charge enough to cover your expenses, and not a lot to make profit. It's on record today that NCAA, which is an agency under aviation, is the 4th largest contributor to revenue for government of Nigeria. Where is that money coming from? It's coming from profit that would have been retained from the operators. So that's sucking us dry. It is not healthy for the industry. It's not good for our services. And, and then the government is not investing adequately, because any good investment in aviation is investment in the future and progress of a country, knowing the importance of this sector.
It is a tough operating environment. Do you see the ability of Nigerian airlines to weather the storm?
Well, we are already weathering the storm. If we don't have the ability and the resilience, we would have all been grounded. There have been enough shock in the industry for us to have all been collapsed. So I've said it over and over again in different outings. At some point that we were on oxygen support, that we're even surviving up to this time is really beyond imagination. I can tell it. Go through the records. Virgin Atlantic came here. How long did it take it to survive? It just packed up and left. You can hardly survive here.
They couldn't deal with the shenanigans.
It can. If you see, I've said in one of my TV outings that if you see any operator that is making 1, 2, 3, 4 flights a day, I mean, if you see him just approaching with roses, it could be red or white, and say thank you for what they're doing, because the only thing we have in mind most of the time is not about the profit you have to make, but about the services you must have to offer to Nigerians, because we know the importance. Just imagine one day a life of no flying in Nigeria. Everything will collapse.
But Prof, personally, why are you still in this business? It costs a lot, it's prohibitive, there's so many problems, aviation fuel is expensive. Why are you still holding on?
Well, man, you must have to have the nature of resilience, fighting, and then you must have to have passion for the service, and then be patriotic to contribute your quota to economic and social development of this country. That's the driving force. But if it is just that thing that give you the money that you want, maybe you can make the same money some other places with less headache and stress. But you know, it's a great joy when you see that your aircraft taking off, taking people like we have in our mantra, uniting people and taking them to destination. It's great. It's great enough joy. I know. You see, we go around the world. We meet other operators in different conferences and all that. They have a whole lot of respect for what we are doing in Nigeria, because they know what it takes. And if you see the support these countries are getting, you know, you have to cry for us. So our call is that the government should understand that this is a very critical sector. Investment here is a win-win situation.
Right.
It is one sector that any business, any ticket you sell,
right,
government has their own card.
Okay.
You know, and then if they do that, they will get the money back. And they, one way or the other, they're also enabling and facilitating all other aspects of business within the ecosystem of the economy.
Professor Obiora Okonkwo, thank you so much for your insight on the topic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
And my advice is that when next you want to travel, plan ahead. I bet you your ticket will be cheaper.
I will.
Yes.
Thank you.